In a development that has taken the college basketball world by surprise, elite 2025 prospect Braden Hawthorne has officially committed to the University of Kentucky, capping off one of the more dramatic recruitment stories in recent memory. At 6 feet 8 inches, Hawthorne is a dynamic wing whose blend of athleticism and shooting touch has made him one of the most coveted players in the country. And now he's heading to Lexington. Just a few months ago, Hawthorne was seen as a promising but raw talent. High upside, yes, but more of a long-term project than an immediate contributor. That perception has changed dramatically. Over the past 4 to 5 months, Hawthorne's development has exploded. Once considered a fringe top 100 recruit, he's now ranked 33rd in the nation. He's gone from maybe rotation piece to high impact freshman in what seems like the blink of an eye. Originally committed to West Virginia, Hawthorne reopened his recruitment after head coach Darren Dares departed for Indiana. That opened the door for a second wave of interest, and it quickly became a four-horse race between West Virginia, hoping to resecure his pledge, Pitt, Virginia Tech, now home to his former WVU recruiter Chester Frazier, and Kentucky. Hawthorne made it official. He's joining the Wildcats. For Kentucky head coach Mark Pope, this is a monumental win. It's the kind of commitment that silences skeptics and signals that Pope's vision for UK basketball is not only resonating, but producing tangible results. With this addition, Kentucky's 2025 recruiting class, already impressive, is now arguably complete, assuming veteran forward Otega Owe returns as expected. As for Hawthorne, there's plenty to get excited about. His game has evolved beyond raw athleticism. He's now showcasing a confident shooting stroke, fluid movement in transition, and an emerging sense of control in traffic. Think a high school version of Brandon Ingram, lanky, fluid, and dripping with potential. He's not just an above-the-rim player. He has finesse, he has touch, and he has upside that could translate to the NBA down the line. Don't be fooled by the slender frame. Yes, he'll need to bulk up, but once he's immersed in a collegiate strength program, he could very well grow into a key contributor even as a freshman. Kentucky fans should be watching closely. Hawthorne might not just be a nice piece down the road. He could be the piece that changes the game next season. Braden Hawthorne's transition to the college level will be one of the more intriguing storylines to watch this upcoming season, and for good reason. At this stage in his development, Hawthorne resembles a young athlete still adjusting to his rapidly growing frame. Raw, yes, but brimming with promise. With the structure of a collegiate strength and conditioning program, the expectation is that he'll add size and stability, setting the stage for a steady and meaningful on-court contribution in year one, and possibly a major breakout by year 2 or 3. From a roster construction standpoint, Hawthorne's decision to join Kentucky under head coach Mark Pope feels like a win for all parties. He's not walking into a situation where he's expected to log 30-plus minutes a night immediately, nor should he be. That type of load isn't the right fit for a player still finding consistency at the high major level. But can he give Kentucky 15 to 18 quality minutes off the bench as a versatile, athletic wing who can shoot and defend? Absolutely. More importantly, he's landed at a program that allows for growth without overwhelming expectations. And that might be the most valuable part of the equation. What makes this an especially strong match is Pope's track record. He's one of the few coaches who actually utilizes a deep rotation. At BYU, Pope regularly played 10 to 11 guys real minutes, not just as a recruiting pitch, but as a tactical foundation of his system. We saw it again in his first year in Lexington, when his team was too deep at nearly every position, and meaningful minutes were distributed across the board before injuries disrupted the flow. If you're Hawthorne, This is exactly the type of environment you want: opportunity without pressure, development without obscurity. Beyond just this commitment, Hawthorne's arrival serves as a microcosm of how Pope is approaching roster building in his second year. This is a team that has clearly emphasized athleticism, toughness, and raw ability across the board. Last season, Pope was assembling a roster from scratch. This time, he's been intentional. From Jalen Lowe to Diata to a potentially returning Otega Owe and even Jasper Johnson and now Hawthorne, there's a clear through line: versatility and explosiveness. The roster is loaded with players who can adapt, attack, and contribute as situations demand. Exactly what SEC basketball requires. And this is the model for college basketball moving forward. In the era of NIL and impending changes to scholarship limits, roster flexibility is king. With potential increases in scholarship slots on the horizon, coaching staffs are building in tiers: retain the core, secure the elite transfers, and then stock the bench with high upside players like Hawthorne. Guys who may not be stars on day one, but who, with time and trust, can blossom into impact players or even pros. In Braden Hawthorne, Kentucky isn't just getting a talented recruit, they're getting a player who fits the system, the culture, and the future direction of the program. It's a long-term investment and one that could pay off in a major way. Across the landscape of college basketball, the offseason strategy is fairly universal. First, identify which key contributors are returning, then secure top-tier transfers, and finally, round out the roster with players who can either fill a defined role or develop into something more over time. In this context, Mark Pope's recent recruiting moves at Kentucky illustrate a thoughtful and layered approach to building a sustainable program, one that balances immediate need with long-term potential. With his latest two additions, Pope has brought in players who may be asked to contribute right away in limited bursts, but who are more realistically viewed as multi-year investments. These are athletes who, with the right development, could blossom into significant pieces by their sophomore or junior seasons. In the meantime, they'll serve as valuable practice assets and rotational depth, somewhere between contributors and high-upside projects. Take the case of Reese Potter, for instance. When he committed, there was no illusion about his role. Potter himself acknowledged in a recent interview that he's not arriving on campus expecting to start from day one. Instead, he's focused on helping the team in practice, competing for minutes, and positioning himself to make an impact if and when opportunity knocks. That's the kind of self-awareness and patience that fits perfectly in Pope's developmental model. Braden Hawthorne enters with a similar profile. He's not expected to be the focal point of the offense or log starter level minutes immediately. But with his skill set and physical tools, there's every reason to believe he can carve out a role this season and potentially exceed expectations by year's end. Ranked inside the top 35 nationally in the class of 2025, Hawthorne is a high-ceiling player being brought in not to carry the load, but to grow into a pivotal piece of a team with championship aspirations. That's what makes this Kentucky roster so intriguing. Hawthorne isn't being asked to be the guy. He's being asked to be part of a very deep, very talented group, one that already features elite level guards and front court pieces. With commitments like Boogie Fland already in place and the likely addition of Darian Williams on the horizon, the Wildcats are assembling a roster that's not just dangerous, but complete. Make no mistake, the SEC is stacked, but Kentucky, under Pope's leadership, belongs squarely in the conversation for preseason conference favorites. This is not just about one or two flashy signings. It's about structure, depth, and vision. And once again, Mark Pope proves he knows exactly what he's doing. The man gets his guy.